We are live. Once again, it's on with the Black Comic Lords in the building, here to talk to you about the best new and upcoming comics. Now, I promised you guys that I would try to do this more regularly. I apologize if it has not been, but it's a work in progress. But we'll get there. We'll get there. So with that in mind, let's jump into our new comics coming out next week for the week of July 12th for our new comic book day. So I am going to jump into our account at League of Comic Geeks. If you haven't checked out this website, you really should. It's pretty dope. It's a great way to keep track of what's coming up. It's a great repository and library of books that have come out in the past. Great search tool. And the Black Comic Lords have an account there. So you go to the site, League of Comic Book Geek, and look up Black Comic Lords, our account's there, and you can see the pull list that we update every week, just about every week. So as you can see, these are the books that are scheduled to come out the week of July 12th. I'm not going to spend time on every single one of them, but just to give you a brief overview as to what's coming out next week at your local LCS. First up, we have Deep Cuts. This has been an anthology series about jazz. I believe this next issue deals with the period of jazz in 1940s. Richard, shout out to boy Richard. He has enjoyed the series. He says it's a dope series. Next up, we have Scar, Disney villain Scar, number 4. Now, you may be wondering why we have a Disney thing here, but this one's particularly written by Chuck Brown, who's an excellent writer. You all know him from Bitterroot, and most recently on Flawed. Very well written series, surprisingly so. I mean, you don't be off put by the fact that it's a Disney villains comic book. It's actually a well written series. Eternus is here because the protagonist in this story is Heracles, who's portrayed as a black warrior. So that's kind of interesting. Exiled, number 6. This is the final issue of this run by the great Wesley Snipes. This series is about aliens invading Earth, and Wesley Snipes is this hard-boiled cop who's trying to help repel the alien invasion. He's always got a whole plethora of dope covers on this series. As you can see, here's 2 here. Here's another one that's a homage to Men in Black. Really dope series that he's done. Next, we have a new series. I don't know if this is a series or if it's a one-shot. It's by Zenescope Comics. It's called Grim Universe Presents Quarterly Sleeping Beauty, Nightmare Queen. Now, this character is actually introduced. Actually, I don't know exactly when her very first appearance. I suspect it might be in this issue that came out a month or so ago. This is a book called Belle. It's a comic by Zenescope, and she was definitely introduced in this book. I don't know if it was her very first appearance, but she was introduced in this book. Belle herself is a monster hunter superhero, and Sleeping Beauty is introduced as this blind woman by the name of Tori, who loses her vision but gains the ability to travel through dreams. So she's a dream walker hero. Kind of think of it sort of as the Doctor Strange of the dream universe. So it's kind of interesting. Dope covers. Zoom in here a bit. Check this out. I think this is cover A. This is cover C, the Lamorov cover. And this one's my favorite. Cover D, Aniceto variant. Real dope artwork. So next up, let me get back to the page here. Miles Morales, number 8. Shout out to Cody Ziegler, is doing a great job with Miles Morales on his run. He has done, one of the criticisms Miles has always had is that he does not have his own specific rogues gallery, and Cody's trying to address that. He introduced a character by the name of Rabble to add to his rogues gallery. Recently, there was another character introduced, a time suspending or time slip, I think her name was, something like that. But he's also gone up against some of the more well-known Spider-Man villains. Originally, Carnage has been like a big villain of his, and now he's going up against Hobgoblin. A couple of really great covers on here. Let me show you these. This is an incentive variant by Suyan. Excuse me if I'm butchering that name, but this cover is absolutely brilliant. Very, very super detailed. You can see the reflection of the Prowler and Scorpion in one eye. You've got Mr. Negative. I can't quite make out this other character. That might be Rabble. I don't know. Over here in the other side here. But really, really dope cover. The other one I really like to note is the Bernard Chang Hellfire Gala variant. Miles wearing his Sunday best to the Hellfire Gala. Dope suit. It's a little odd that he's hanging upside down on this tree, and yet the tails of his tuxedo aren't hanging upside down, but maybe it's just built that way. Anyway, so Miles Morales number 8, certainly check that out. Next, we've got Monarch number 6. This is the final issue of this run by the great Rodney Barnes. This series has been about this character that you see on the screen here, who is an alien and has sort of the herald of an alien race trying to invade Earth. But he falls in love with a girl and decides, you know what? These Earthlings aren't half bad. Let me help them out. This is the final issue of the run, so you want to check that out. I don't know anything about Oswald and the Star Chaser. I just thought this was a dope cover. What can I tell you? Savage Dragon 266. Malcolm Dragon moves with his family to San Francisco and joins a new police squad there. So he's taking the whole Savage Dragon family into an entirely new storyline and setting for that series. Look, you guys know I'm a big Star Trek fan. When they introduced a series that stars my man Benjamin Sisko, the greatest Starfleet captain of all time, I'm here for it. So I've got Star Trek 10 listed here. Here's the 3 covers. If you are a Star Trek fan, this series is definitely for you. It's a hodgepodge of various Star Trek characters over various series, from everywhere from the original series, Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, even the animated series. Because as you can see on this first cover, you've got Lieutenant Shax, who's from the Lower Decks cartoon. I've really enjoyed this as a Star Trek fan. Every issue has lots of Easter eggs and references that you'll appreciate. Tower number 5, final issue for next week. One of the co-writers of this is Cadmus Johnson, who is the actor who played Batwing on the Batwoman television series. Think of this series as, what's that old Arnold Schwarzenegger movie? It's called Runaway. It's a series in which people have been entered into these games for life and death. Think of it, I guess the more modern reference would be like the Hunger Games, but a little bit more stylistic than that. So that's this series, Tower. This is the final issue of that run. So that takes care of our upcoming books for next week.